Hello, Mixtresses and Mixters. This is Mixtress Ray. You're watching Mixtress video. So I'm behind, which is probably going to be happening a lot with this whole series. We are in, I think, as I record this, it is the 24th. I think we are in day 3 of 5 of Cups right now. So I'm doing a combined. I mean, you can see in the title what it is. But I'm going to be talking about 4 of Swords and 5 of Cups. So today, instead of holding up the card, I've got it up on my computer screen back here. So I'll just have to, hopefully I'll notice whenever it goes to the screensaver and I'll fix it, you know. Anyway, okay. I should have found this before I hit record, right? My notes on 4 of Swords. Okay, so the thing about the 4s for me, like this particular project is really helping me to figure out what I think about numerology in general, right? So I have realized that the way that I conceptualize 4s is, I think of them not only like sort of the more typical way that you might think of the 4s, which I think is also accurate, but which is like stability. I also, for a while now, I've conceptualized the 4s as being a fortress, as being about protection, but also I think it's ritual. I think the 4s are about ritual. So with the 4 of Wands, the ritual is a ritual you're sharing with others, you know, like a marriage or a bonfire or a party or something like that. With the 4 of Cups, it's a meditation. It's a solo meditation. With the 4 of Pentacles, it's also more, I guess that one might not fit. Whatever. The way that right now in my tarot journey, I'm conceptualizing the 4s is through sacred ritual. So what I wrote here in my notebook was 4 of Wands, sacred ritual, 4 of Cups, sacred meditation, 4 of Swords, sacred rest, and Pentacles, sacred protection. So it's less about ritual, more about spells, or kind of, they go hand in hand. So I was imagining myself sitting in the middle of like my bedroom carpet, because that's a sacred space for me, especially from my childhood. I'm more visualizing my childhood bedroom whenever I think about stuff like this. And so sitting in the middle of the carpet, my childhood bedroom, and I am surrounded by the element. So in the 4 of Swords, I am surrounded by the 4 swords in a box around me, and they are protecting me. So that's the feeling that I get from the 4 of Swords, is that you have set up the swords to protect you. You have basically like, it's like, you know, I do, and I think a lot of other people do this as well. I think of the 4 of Swords as kind of the mental health day card. And the reason that it's a mental health day card is because swords are about the mind, and because you are setting up a protection around yourself, telling people, no, this is me taking a step back. This is me having this, you are creating a spell with your words by calling in to work. You know what I mean? You're calling and saying, no, I'm not going to do it today. This is your like sacred no, I'm not doing this today because I need a wall of protection around me. It's another word, I think I said this already, but another word that I associate with the 4s is fortress. So you're setting up a fortress around yourself that is, it's set up through words, and it's a spell. In particular with the 4 of Swords, it's a spell. So that's the 4 of Swords. I feel like I had more to say about it at the beginning of 4 of Swords season, but then I didn't record the video. So that is why I'm combining today so that I can talk about 5 of Cups, because I feel like I have a lot to say about 5 of Cups. You see that? Yeah. I mean, it's not like you haven't seen the Five of Cups before, right? But okay, so in a little composition notebook, I went through today or yesterday at work and wrote down a bunch of stuff. So how do I feel about the fives? That's kind of how I'm starting my journey of talking about the minor arcana. How do I feel about the fives? I see the fives as being, like a lot of people do, halfway there. You're halfway there in the fives. And so that's kind of like act 2 in like a play or a movie or a book or whatever. So you have the 3 acts. Act 1 is setup, act 2 is confrontation, and act 3 is resolution. So act 2, act 1 in the minor arcana is ace, right? Ace is the setup. Act 2 is 5 with confrontation. So and then the 10 obviously being resolution, act 3, right? So what is it that you're confronting in the 4 different suits? So in the wands, you're confronting goal setting, right? So with the 5 of wands, you're sort of like, you're fighting with people in your industry. You're fighting with coworkers. If tarot tubers are fighting with each other, that would be a 5 of wands situation. It's a confrontation. It's almost like an obstacle. The obstacle in your way in the wands is an obstacle in your way of achieving your goals, your creative goals in life. In the cups, we'll say cups last just because we're in cups right now. With the 5 of swords, the confrontation that you are having is with yourself. And then, okay, hold on. Let me finish my first sentence before I go back. And then with the 5 of pentacles, the confrontation is with reality. That's how I conceptualize it. So going back to the cups, the confrontation that you're having with the cups is with your emotions. So I started thinking about it. I mean, it's been hard for me. I don't know if probably it's hard for other tarot readers as well. Like, really, what is the distinction between cups and swords? Because how do you know the difference between your thoughts, your mind, the swords, and your emotions, the cups? Like, how do you tell the difference? And I think I kind of hit on it yesterday. It's like the cups are the raw, visceral emotion that you're having. And the swords are you trying to verbalize and interpret those emotions, either trying to interpret them by conveying them to other people with words, or trying to integrate them. So either way. So let me look at my notes and see if I've said everything yet. So it's the 5 of Cups is an emotional confrontation. So you're looking at the confrontation is grief, sadness, reckoning, and you're going through it alone. Whereas with the other 5s, like the 5 of Wands, you're fighting with other people, right? The 5 of Swords, there's other people in the picture, but you've isolated yourself from them. In the 5 of Pentacles, you're there with someone else, right? The 5 of Cups is the only one where you are truly alone. This figure is completely alone. No one else in sight. Because you can try to interpret your feelings and emotions and share them with other people. Like when you refuse to share them with other people, that's how you end up in the 5 of Swords space, right? Because that's that self-isolation. But with the 5 of Cups, hold on, I need a drink. With the 5 of Cups, you are truly alone because your emotions, your interiority is completely your own. So I'm reminded of this lyric from Queens of the Stone Age, a song called Fortress. Call back to the fours. Where he says, okay, the lyric is, Everyone faces darkness on their own. As I have done, so will you. That is a very, even though I wouldn't associate that song as a whole with being the Five of Cups, but that lyric is very Five of Cups. Like, you have to learn to deal with darkness on your own. That's what the Five of Cups is all about. Okay, hold on, let me, I looked up also just like general meanings of numerology for the 5. Excuse me, that's what I get for drinking carbonated beverages on video. So Mercury is 5, and like people who have 5 as their soul number have a need for freedom. I remember thinking that was significant yesterday. What was it about it that made me think that it was significant? Oh, because in the 5s you feel trapped. In all the 5s, you feel trapped. You feel trapped because you're having petty arguments in the 5 of Wands. You feel trapped in the 5 of Swords because you have isolated yourself from everyone else. You have literally built a wall between you and other human beings. And in the 5 of Pentacles, you feel trapped in the scarcity mindset because you think you don't have any resources, even though there's resources right in front of you. So in the 5 of Cups, you feel trapped in your own sadness. And with this, you can see that there's like this, I don't know, bridge over water to a building here in the background. Whereas once this figure stops focusing on the tipped over cups and starts focusing on the upright ones, starts looking at the positives, they will be able to see this road. In my mind, there's a road back behind here that goes to this bridge, and then he will find civilization again. So you feel trapped in a 5 because, you know, it's always the worst part of a movie, right? I always like the setup and the resolution. Sometimes I don't even like the resolution. I like the setup. I like the aces through 4s, and then leave me alone. Not really, because 9 is my favorite number. But yeah, so that was part of it. Okay, what else did I put here? You feel trapped in the 5s, and the way that you feel trapped in the Wands, you can't get ahead because other people are in your way. In the Cups, you're trapped in your own emotions. In the Swords, you're trapped in your own thoughts. And in the Pentacles, you're trapped in reality. It's the only 5 where you're completely alone because no one else is pictured. I already said that. And then most of the rest of the notes that I made here were about how I was tying the Cups to the Swords. How I think that makes sense, that when I say that the Cups are raw emotion, it makes sense that most of the Swords, the general interpretation of the Swords, is pretty negative because the mind tends to ruin things. The mind tends to create a lot of anxiety surrounding your emotions. And an example that I have of this, I think it fits. So back whenever, like I've mentioned many times, and if you guys have been around, you've heard me mention it many times. In 2011, there was this big tornado that destroyed most things in my hometown that I still live in. And it destroyed my house. And I remember I was in it. I mean, I was in the house, but we were like, you know, crouched in the interior hallway and all that stuff. I'm not going to go too deep into it because I'll get upset. But as I was sitting there in the hallway right after it was over, I remember having this thought to myself. Later, you're going to think that that was really scary. Just remind yourself that it wasn't. Because the actual moment itself, I didn't know what was going on. And it was pretty short. It was like, you know, less than a couple minutes of my life. But it changed everything. You know, I had PTSD, but it was more from the aftermath of all of it, right? But I'm kind of making a parallel here between your emotions and the way that your mind conceptualizes your emotions, right? If you don't perseverate on something with your mind, an emotion washes away pretty quickly. You know, you get angry about something, and if you weren't actually like fixating on it in your mind, you'd let it go pretty quickly. You would let it pass. That's where we get in trouble, because the mind complicates the emotions, I feel, actually. And we try to filter our emotions through our mind, and that's where, you know, we get bottled up. We sift out the wrong stuff when we think we're sifting through things. We get really trapped in. I remember when I first started going to therapy, you know, the big thing in therapy is they're asking you how you feel all the time. Like, how do you feel about that? How do you feel about that? How does that make you feel? And it's can be really complicated if you do not know how you feel. You don't know how to access, because you have to conceptualize your feelings with your mind. And that's why the swords are so difficult. It's not because anything really difficult is necessarily happening, but it's because that's the way that you interpret it, right? So with the Five of Cups, yeah, it's sadness. It's that sort of like white hot feeling in the chest of like, you know, like someone has died, or you're in a depression. And we will be, let's see, Five of Cups started on the 22nd. So I think it goes through the end of October. I'm pretty sure we don't move it. I think I wrote it down, actually. Hold on. Yeah, we move into Six of Cups on November 1st. So this is a space that, I mean, I don't know. I've never been paying attention during this time of year. As far as like knowing that it's Five of Cups season. So this is my first time tuning into that. Like, are people unusually sad at this time of year? I don't know. I don't think so, because it's right before Halloween. But the world itself, like as far as where I live, there's a lot of rain. And it started yesterday. It started day 2 of Five of Cups, which might have actually been, you know, day 1. Actually, it started today. Today has been such a long day that I feel like it's been 2 days of raining, but it's really only been 1. Anyway, the raining just started today, but it usually where I live, it rains a lot at this time of year. So, let's see. The swords are our intentions / attempts to overcome / synthesize our emotions. Swords are the mind's attempt to make sense of emotion. Okay, yeah, I just kind of repeated myself there. And then I started talking about the 7s because I was thinking about 7s. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Hopefully there were some insights in that made some kind of sense. I am going to try to keep up with this series because it's helping me learn tarot even better. And I would highly recommend it, you know. Just in general, sitting down, having some kind of schedule for yourself. It doesn't have to be like following astrological year like I am, but, you know, if you sit down and really, you know, reflect on how you feel about the 5s or the 6s, or, you know, just go through the major arcana in general and take notes about how you feel and how you conceptualize and how these cards show up for you in readings. Because, you know, I started my tarot journey reading a lot of books, and I think that's a good thing to do. But I have 2 books that cover like the decants of the year, or whatever you call it, this thing that I'm doing. The minor arcana is represented in 10 days of the year. Each of the minor arcana cards, 2 through 10. Just because I didn't explain that, but hopefully you already know. I don't know. But if you don't know, 2 through 10 is represented in 10 days of the year, every year, in the minor arcana. So not the court cards, not the major arcana, not the aces, but everything else. And I have 2 books that like deal with that subject, but I don't get that much out of reading other people's explanations of tarot. Like, in general, maybe. So it's something that I'm going to have to think about, because I'm looking like behind where the camera is are all of my tarot books. I have a lot of tarot books. And I like books, but consulting tarot books is not it's not the same as just figuring out what I feel about the tarot. So that's my recommendation, to figure out what you feel about tarot and use your own self-directed meanings, whatever that means for you. And start with numerology. You know, what do you feel about ones / aces? Because it goes through even like the fives we can compare to the Hierophant. The fours we can compare to the Emperor. So it's, yeah, anyway. I don't know how to talk when I can see my own face. I'm really trying to make this series a face series, so that I can connect a little bit better with you guys, so I can try to remember, so I can try to learn how to talk while looking at my own face, because I'm like, really? I make that face? What? So bear with me. I'm trying to figure out how the series goes. If you're watching this in the future on some big playlist that has all of them in it, hopefully the later ones will be a little bit smoother. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for being here. How do you feel about the Four of Swords and the Five of Cups? I think the Five of Cups is the cure. I don't know what the Four of Swords would be, like some kind of meditation music or something. No, I think the Four of Swords is just silence. Okay. That's it. Bye.